all people are in from the waiting room, so we can just, for those that weren't able to join us live, we'll make sure we distribute this out to the masses so everyone gets the same information at once. Go ahead, Jeff. Welcome.
All right, it's Friday morning. I'm going to steal from the late Robin Williams playbook and say good morning, DFM, and welcome to the Femoral 1.0 information session today, where we're just going to be giving you a little bit of an update on where we're at with the Femoral to soon to be updated and called MedCORE. So thanks to everybody who voted on the new name. The future of the DFM's learner and faculty management system will be called MedCORE. Just for those who are late to the gate, this information session is being recorded. So if you do not want to be listed in the credits, please keep your camera off and/or don't ask questions. So where are we at today? So today we're going to cover off a few different things. So we're kind of going to be talking about, femoral today and some of the risks and scope, etc. And then Marissa's going to have a little bit of an update on administrative things. And then Pavel and Osama, who joined us on September 6th, will be giving a little bit of an update on some of the technology and some of the constraints we've got right now. And then we're going to kind of wrap up with Marissa and Kendra again on next steps and any questions that anybody has. So without further ado, we're going to get on to the project framing. So basically, as most of you know, this is what you currently work and live and breathe today with great love and affirmation. We do have basically three different sort of colors or portals. You have the resident portal, faculty portal, and of course the administrative portal. And not without its difficulties. So we do have some challenges that we're hoping to overcome in the new development. Some of the risks that just make everybody aware during the project. Some of these were presented earlier in the project, but we do continue to monitor them. Some do have low risk and some are a little bit higher. So requirements will always seem to change. People will always have the epiphanies over the weekend. They'll get a shot of lightning and say, "Oh, this would be great." Well, at some point we do have to lock the requirements. Otherwise, nothing will ever get developed because it just continues to change. We do have a good, robust process in place. We've had working groups, so we don't consider this to be a high risk. Change of priorities. We've looked at a couple different things, between, architecture, how we're going to develop it. So there is some medium risk there with regards to, moving to an Amazon Web Services development environment, ensuring that, no matter what we do, we still adhere to the university sort of frameworks and requirements. So we do make sure that, we try to keep in lockstep with the university to make sure that we don't have to start again or re-architect to ensure that what we do will be accepted and allowed to host university data. So the resources, inevitably, as everybody sees the news on a day-to-day basis, the shortages in staff extends beyond the nursing shortage and the doctor shortage, etc. There's always going to be staff turnover. As most of you know, Natalia did leave to join Microsoft Canada. So, but we were already in line to have Pavel and Osama join us on September 6th. So we do have that, but it's always going to be a risk. PMO team is now using SharePoint 100%. So a lot of the documents will be stored there. And so we're currently, so right now we are fully staffed. So that's, good to see. Accreditation. So we do want to make sure we try to have, a good chunk of the development done in order to, demonstrate advances in basically our tracking and our management processes for the 2023, 2024 accreditation upcoming. So that's just a high risk. We want to make sure we do try to secure some timelines. So of course, that does mean that, we have to be diligent with the first two risks that are above. security. So, as we develop, we want to make sure we do assess any security penetration issues, because, we are at the end of the day dealing with personal information. So the development and the architecture will definitely take a high profile when it comes to security, cybersecurity, et cetera. And then, of course, hosting, which we consider low risk right now. We are developing in AWS or Amazon Web Services, but, I continue to work with the university and MedTech on ensuring that regardless of where we develop, that they'll be acceptable to hosting our solution internally in the university's web domain going forward in order to save us some costs. So if, for those that were here in some of the earlier meetings, we basically showed you kind of our project scope, which was taking, basically the six-ish femoral modules and basically augmenting those modules under MedCORE, and then adding a scheduling functionality and an improved reporting suite, potential to have it integrate with 145/Elantra, whatever that gets rolled out, and then adding in research, FMRSP, finance, and talent management. So right now, what we're looking at is, you can see right now we have, three main blocks or phases, as we're calling it. So the first one, of course, what we're calling core. So we're looking to develop the learner profile for those that weren't attending. So before it was called the resident profile. But as we look to increase our scope of usability and scalability of the platform, there might be some uses of this for an undergraduate component. So, it can no longer just be a platform for residents. It also have to include learners. And so we consider it now a learner profile. And while we have a lot of preceptors that manage the residency of our current learners, not all of our faculty are preceptors, but we do still track all of our faculty. So right now it behooves us to make it a faculty profile and not just preceptor. And then, of course, the leave of absence and field notes are going to be developed in there as well. Some of the additions we look to do is, improve the SUS reporting with a full reporting capability within those modules, and ideally interface with Elantra 145. So when you develop your SUS, it just pulls information in from both e-field notes and Elantra or 145 for evaluations. Then we're going to move on to the scheduling component, where we're going to take that spaghetti plate of different schedules from the numerous different units and how they work, and see if we come up with a solution that allows both centralized scheduling, but also some flexibility to the units to be able to put their unique individual type of flavor on the schedule as they manage their different clinics. So that'll be in phase 2. And then, of course, talent management, research, and finance will be coming down the road. Now, that's not to say that, some of the components of scheduling or talent management or research might not be addressed in the core, because they may be necessary to include them in certain modules at the beginning so that they're ready to expand later on down the road, versus having to go back and reopen the code in the core modules and start from scratch on talent management, research, or scheduling. So here's what we're looking at our project roadmaps. Well, we did have our kickoff on May 10th. So where we kind of highlighted our charter and presented to our larger stakeholder group. We had our first working groups in June, and we continued to have some working groups, and we had our first sprint, which was completed on July 8th, and then we're starting core development complete on ideally April 28th of next year. That is what we're aiming for right now. We'll see. We'll provide further updates at future meetings as to whether or not that schedule is still able to be held. And then we'll ideally go live on July 1st in a production live environment, hopefully for the 2023-2024 academic year. So now I'm going to turn over the reins to Marissa, and she can provide an update from the administrative side.
Yeah, so things are going well. So as we'll go back to the kind of name change from Femoral to MedCORE, we presented the top 3 choices and the overwhelming majority picked MedCORE as the name. You can see that that stands for the Medical Communication, Organization, Relationship, Education acronym. We did kind of circulate whether it was with the name or the actual logo to kind of get feedback from everybody on that. And while the majority of the comments received were quite positive, I think there are a few elements that we should probably at least just discuss here briefly. And then if there's other conversations anyone wants to have either offline or in the chat or maybe at the end of this meeting, we're kind of open to that as well. I think a few to kind of hit off right away would be the name. Is the name bilingual? Well, so I think we have a bit of vision here of this MedCORE now becoming more of a brand that goes potentially beyond just DFM's use case. And so like any other brand, whether it's Coca-Cola or your Apple product, the name MedCORE will be the name MedCORE no matter what country or language you are in or prefer. That being said, the actual tools within MedCORE will be bilingual, English and French. So that's one point. The other, again, it's, maybe the logo doesn't feel quite family medicine focused. Again, I think that is a bit intentional at this point. While DFM obviously is our main priority and we're trying to fit those needs, I think there's quite long-term strategic goals where perhaps other departments at the university could make use of these tools and potentially across other universities as well. So that being said, the way this is being built is modular and agile. So even within our own needs, if we don't like the color, if we don't want to kind of revamp the branding of it, we will be able to do that on an ongoing basis. It's not static. So what you see now could evolve over the years as well too. So that's that. Jeff, gave a great quick introduction. We do want to thank Natalia for the work that she has done here. She set up quite a great initial foundation for our current developers to work on. But that being said, I would like to maybe just pause for a minute, let Pavel and then Osama introduce themselves. Go ahead, Pavel. I'll be quiet for a second.
Hello, everyone. My name is Pavel, and I'm one of the developers working on MedCORE. I'm a recent graduate from York University, so I completed the IT program, and I've been with DFM as an intern for just over a year. So I did work on a number of projects, such as the anti-racism curriculum that we've deployed a few months ago, as well as GP for PC and the MSK project. Thank you.
Thanks. And for those that aren't familiar with the GP4PC acronym, that is Dr. Parisa Rezafar's gynecological procedures for primary care modules that we're working on. Thanks, Pavel. And Osama.
Hi, everyone. So for me, my name is Osama, obviously, and I was doing my master in computer science, currently still doing my master's degree there. And I'm coming from IT solution department of University of Ottawa. I spent there almost a year and a half, and mainly we were working on developing Ventus application for the university. And yeah, I'm happy to join you guys.
Thanks, Osama and Pavel. And because we know that there's potential risk with our resources here, we also have Justly, who's our 0.5, but a very important 0.5. He's been working with us a lot on the other innovation projects like the MSK modules and a variety of other things in the background. So he's been with us for quite a little while too. And again, as we get further and further into development, if we need to shift some of our interns to work on MedCORE, we will be able to do that too. So thank you. Working groups. So there's, should you have missed any of the working groups or just want to refer to them, feel free to scan the QR code. Kendra has been completely instrumental in organizing everybody, making sure everyone's up to date on all the discussions that's been had. It's become really important for us just to have historical knowledge of the conversations that have happened, helped with the onboarding process to for Pavel and Osama, so that we we have this great library built of information that we can refer to. And so those are links, and that library will continue to expand as we have these kind of working groups. We're doing a bit of a shift, I think, now that we have our new team put together here. We'll have a lot more, I think, in office, smaller one-on-one group with Kendra and myself, Kim and her team, who have been great. Thank you, everyone, for always being so available to explain the ins and outs of very complicated jobs. So we're gonna keep going that way and give Osama and Pavel a bit more time to actually do the development work. And then, of course, if there is need for us to all connect in those working groups that we've had, then we will too for the specifics. But primarily Kendra and myself will be that kind of back and forth go between the two groups, so we can keep progressing on that. Again, we do have a change report and the charter available should anyone want to read that, and we will continue to circulate any requirements as they change. But so far, I think we do have everything we need to really focus on the learner module and the general information cards that we've referred to in the past. So we won't be doing too much kind of formal working groups. We're going to just kind of work with the people that we need to kind of clarify some points and get down to the details that the developers need to build those. So that's it for this slide. And then I will hand it over to the development team to give a quick update on what they've been able to accomplish since they started September 6th. So feel free. Thanks, guys.
Okay, so the first point that we're going to address is the hosting of the actual application. So we decided to go with Amazon Web Services, or AWS for short, for a number of reasons. So as you can see here, it allows for extra flexibility in terms of development and scaling up the application. And so the scaling up of the application, basically we're talking about adding new features and expanding on existing features and functionalities. So it is a little bit easier to expand the app down the line, as well as potentially allow for higher volumes of users down the line. And lastly, perhaps the most important point on this is that it allows for external users that don't necessarily have U Ottawa accounts and can't necessarily be authenticated through the U Ottawa servers. Okay, and I'll pass on the second point to Osama.
Thanks, Pavel. So regarding the application development update that I have, thankfully, Natalia and Ali did help us a lot with setting up the infrastructure for our project. And during the past 2 weeks, we and Pavel were able we received the first batch of the mockups that were worked on by our UI and UX specialist, Oksana, and we encoded those mockups into interactive and user-friendly interfaces. And while we are waiting for the second batch, we will be exploring and working on developing the backend part of the application. And yeah, we're still waiting waiting on MedCORE to provide us with some of the information that we need and the documentation. So yeah, that's what I have for the application development.
Okay, and lastly, the third point will be the barriers and constraints. And of course, the barriers and constraints in our case are to be expected since we started on September 6th. Some of the barriers and constraints were that we needed to get access to certain platforms that we did not have when we first joined the department, as well as configuring the infrastructure where the part of the application that sits on the servers is able to communicate with what the end users basically see on their screen or in their browser.
Okay, and I believe I'm up next. So for those folks who joined our review session and UI presentation, this might be familiar, but just to share with the larger group what our logo is looking like now as we move away from Femoral and move to MedCORE. So this will be the new logo for the platform. And then on the next page, we have the login page. So this is, of course, where users will go to log in, and you can see the logo again at the top corner. And then we have the general information card. So this is where all users in Femorals or in MedCORE, oh my gosh, what a slip of the tongue, will go to access their user page. So we're moving to a new format within MedCORE, different from the existing Femoral, built on cards. So here you can see there's different white sections, and we're calling those cards, where we can add different permission levels and give users ability to view different parts of the card. So this is what the general user profile will look like. So everyone who uses MedCORE will have a general user profile. Okay, cool. And then continuing to next steps. So this is what's on the agenda for the team over the next couple months. So between now and the end of the year, our team will be focusing on getting the architectural review board's approval. So that will be our development team submitting the technical design documents to that board for approval. Also, using the feedback collected from the working groups that Marissa mentioned, we will continue to develop the application itself and move into smaller iterative design cycles with feedback from stakeholders continuing throughout that process. And last but not least, we'll have our next quarterly info session on December 5th. So everyone save that in your calendars. Okay, and that's it for our update. We'd be happy to turn it over to anyone who has any questions.
Anyone at all?
Feel free to also put your question in the chat and I will relay it. Chandra.
Hello, I hope you can hear me.
Yeah.
I've stolen a computer for today. I'm wondering how you will decide or have decided the one-on-ones. Just wondering sort of all that knowledge you're going to steal from everyone's brains. Who would be on the docket for that?
Yeah, so we're focusing right now on actual development of that general information page that Kendra showed earlier. And that was all built, obviously based on what Femoral 1.0 has. And then of course, the working groups everyone has attended to date. The one-on-ones that we've had so far have really just been to fine tune some of those details of like, okay, we said, yes, the admin should have notifications to anything that a learner changes. But when we had the nitty gritty, it was like, you know what, I think we can pin it down to let's block, legal first name, legal gender, so that learners cannot change that, but then offer them the preferred options that they can edit. So it's kind of just those fine nitty gritty details that we then just maybe work with a smaller group instead of having these big formal work things. But then as we move on and we get maybe to maybe the faculty profile, then again, it's going to, of course, include larger groups of people that want to attend, and just that iterative back and forth where maybe just to clarify a point or two, we don't need to involve 20 people, but yes, the big concepts will, of course, still be run by everybody. And at any time, that's why we want this library of videos for people to refer to too. Even if you're not comfortable asking a question here, send emails at any time, connect with any of us at any time, and we can, this, as we've said, want this to be kind of a departmental tool that everyone's had a say in. So, thanks, Chandra.
Anyone else? I know it's Friday morning, but it's not Friday afternoon.
Yeah.
Bueller.
Yeah.
Bueller.
I take that as a good
Bueller.
sign. Let's maybe we just leave it at that.
All right. So, well, I thank everybody for your time this morning to kind of give us, the team, a chance to kind of give you an update on where we're at with the development. As everybody had mentioned, Marissa and Kendra, if anytime you have any questions or feedback, please feel free to provide that to us. We're always looking for, submit any kind of information, any kind of feedback, because we don't want to work operate in a vacuum. And, there's always these things that, hey, you know what, that is a great idea. And it might be a quick fix. But, we're not going to accept every quick fix. Otherwise, we'll be quick fixing until, we're all in the retirement homes somewhere. So. But other than that, thanks everybody for your time. I hope everybody has a great weekend, and you have 34 minutes of your morning back. So have a good day, everybody, and a great weekend. Bye now.
This weekend. Thanks, everyone. Great work.
Thanks for your help, everyone.